What is going on, folks? We are back. I've got good old sparkling water, 1 cup of coffee, and 2 cups of coffee. All right. Reason for that. Long story short, last night I recorded an episode at maybe it was 12:30 at night, 1 in the morning maybe. And it's 7:51 right now in the morning. I woke up at 7:17 or so, something a little bit earlier, and just got into it. Well, let me talk about the episode last night, because hopefully it's posted. If you see episode, I think it would be 11, and this should be episode 12, but it may not be. And the reason is because I recorded the episode last night and my phone died in the middle of it, so this part stopped recording, and I didn't like it, and then I stopped and then realized I stopped screen recording. So basically I have 2 40-minute segments of going over some material last night, and maybe I can just cover some of that material right now. But obviously the dashboard's starting to look a little bit different. This morning I was just kind of working on just some polishing things. But last night, what did we do? We went over and cleaned up some of these columns. We added this scroll feature. We added our icons, of course. And probably the biggest thing out of last night's session was, let me pull it open, is this script here. Is we have a script that it's going to lint. So we also established our linter yesterday with a few code rules. And basically the linter here is just checking for code quality. So let's say we have a console log. That's one of our rules, that console logs, hello, are going to be against the linter. Unexpected console statements. So meaning it's going to throw this orange squiggly. Not a huge issue when it's an orange squiggly. It's not a red, right? It's not a bug, but it is a linter. It's a code quality thing. It's telling us, hey, we need to have better code quality here. So for instance, if I run lint, let me open up the server on the front end. If I npm run lint, that's what, well, hold on. What's the next lint? We should have, what's going on here? npm run lint. Maybe it's because I'm not on the latest thing of Node. Let's see, npm run lint. Boom. Okay, so the linter's running now, and it's checking for code quality. It tells us ellipsis icon. It's defined but never used. So that's another rule. We have to have all imports, they need to be used, otherwise delete them. And then we also have an unexpected console statement, which is the one we just generated. Again, the reason is I just wanted to, and here's that ellipsis icon. That's another thing we configured yesterday was some of the icons. We got those figured out. But this is going to be the biggest thing. So it lents number 1, and then it type checks number 2. So it does one of these. And a type check is just going through the entire file to make sure that, let's say, task type is a Boolean or something. When it's not, it should throw a bunch of type errors, which obviously TypeScript's going to do that. But here, let me get rid of these, for instance. TypeScript's going to do that, but let's say there's a file and we didn't know that file had changed, or if we changed the contract, and one of the this one here, and we also added task category last night to the contract. But if we don't know that the data's changed necessarily, how would we know in the file? Let's say we're working way over here on this component. We never checked base card again, but the contract did change. This would let us know. Type check would let us know. So it's going to opt out of the command, or it's going to let us know that there is a process that's happening, and then it stops. It says, hey, there's a type check issue. And then we also have a building command. So basically the point is if we lent type check then build, it means we have quality code. It means, okay, we pass all these kind of rules and generics that we decided from just a quality standpoint. And then type check, it also means that all the data is good. Let me just put this all back. And then if it can build, it means it can be pushed to production. So then by the end of that, we also added a git command of committing, or git adding committing, and the commit message is clean code. And then we can push to our GitHub repository and then just start the server again, because doing that would kill the server. So let me just show you guys. So let me just pop that icon in there, and we should have, should not be import.tsx. Okay, what if I just take off the TSX? Seems to have worked. And if we just check the front end, it should render on the front end. But the idea is we want to have a linter for code quality, a type check for data quality, and then a build for, I guess deploy quality to see if it can be deployed. And then we push it ultimately. If all those checks happen, we just have a quick, dirty command that allows for us to do that. And again, the reason is because I want to be pushing clean code to the repo every time. Every time we want to push clean code to the repo. So that's why we kind of built that yesterday. And now that I think about it, I think I'm just going to try to get the episode up from last night. I do have comments icon. Let me see. I do have all the footage just in case I wanted to. I did put it all up. So, and it's not a huge deal. It's just what happened was I have like two. So how do I explain it? Right now I'm audio recording on a microphone, and then I just do brief audio edits, and then I'm screen recording, and then I'm also face recording. So there's three pieces of like things I have to put together and glue together when I make one of these videos. And then if I have to make another video, there's now 6 pieces I have to put together and like get all the timing right and all that. And it's not the end of the world, but the idea of doing all this was just to kind of like have the screen recording on the fly and just all that stuff. So it's just a little bit of a pain to sometimes do those things. It's not the end of the world, but it is just, you know what I mean, less preferred, I think, is all I'm trying to communicate. But we got our icons, we got our linter, we got some quality things going on, and we might have done something else yesterday. I'm forgetting, but there were some good talks. Oh, and the other thing that I was going into that episode with was the night before last night, I had gone to a meetup in Austin called Nuxt.js. And what it is, it's a group of guys who come together every month, and they're teaching each other tricks and stuff that they've learned in Next.js. So timing of it was perfect. I'm like, wow, I'm building this application in Next.js, so we'd love to pop by and meet them, and so I did. And I'm really grateful I did, because they're amazing people, and I learned so much, and they talked to me about TRPC and a few other things. And TRPC is this API, what's it called? API, like type safe APIs. So it was a huge consideration. I was messing around with it yesterday throughout the day, and we added this to our thing yesterday of, do we want to consider TRPC? And I do think ultimately we do. So we did mess with this. Oh, and then the other thing was Prisma. They use Prisma, and it wraps, it's an ORM, an object relational mapper, around the database. So and then the final thing was migrating the stack potentially to the T3 Turbo stack, which is basically having a mono repo where we have one folder with our web application, both the front end and back end, and then we have another folder with our React Native code. So that was a consideration also put in yesterday's thing, but all that momentum was coming from that Next ATX meetup. Great guys too, just fantastic guys, and it was perfect timing. Just literally could not have asked for a better situation, right? Like it was perfect. It really was. So I don't know. There's some considerations here. there are some considerations to make. And this morning I was just, but I'm loving this because we're getting more quality as time's coming on, right? Like if we look at this, and obviously this is a little broken right here, but let me just sign out, get us back to kind of our project. Kanban, no, we don't want to sign in. No, just local host 3000. Oh, you know what? The server wasn't running, or it just needed to be saved or something. Okay. So we have our application. It's just looking great. You know what I mean? It's looking proper. Certainly on the landing page, like this is quality. And then we could sign in really quick. Let's use our Google, of course. In 2 clicks, we can sign in. So it's very effective. We already have our user ID, all that stuff. We have our toast that says successful. And then boom, we can come to our Kanban. So loading in, obviously we still have a few things we can do here. Actually, a lot of things we can do on the task. I do need to configure kind of some width issues. I do see that being a concern, of course, but being that we're talking about these concepts of TRPC and obviously these linters and just doing things that are hopefully quality, right? Like that's the goal is to build a quality application and do it the best that I literally can. You know, that's the goal. Do it the best I literally can. So yesterday was a great day. It was one of those days where I joined a webinar for an AI thing with Interview Kickstart. And just had a full day of working on code again, you know. And this is, I don't think we need this task server component anymore, the task list. Or do we? Is that what's rendering here? I forget. Base column. No, I think it's the task cards, right? Yeah, so I'm going to get rid of this. Don't need that. Got rid of this, and this was the category it belongs in. In progress, all that stuff. So a few edits we made yesterday. Maybe we'll have a delete button as well for the task, or this maybe this will click, and then the same modal that says add task that we need to build, I think will be the same options thing. So it'll just be pre-populated with data and all the inputs and everything we need, and maybe a delete task button. But it'll pretty much be the same exact modal that we used for the add task. I think that's the smartest thing. Stripe it. So if I press that, okay. That's going to be another thing to consider. When we press these add task buttons, we need them to add to their individual column. So I was rethinking the data structure of how we are building these columns, because they are like really smart columns, but I'm almost going back in my brain to how it should be, which is the Kanban page itself should kind of render these things. The reason for that is I can filter based on each column, and I can just kind of do like a show hide type situation where the data still exists in this in progress object, or this in progress column, but when I drag a task over, it should then just populate. Like it should just have that appearance that it's being moved over, so it hides and then shows over here. So it would all still be the same task. It's just maybe the front end is just like the client can filter instead of the database filtering for which task is in which row. I do think that's a potential thing because if you're querying all the tasks, we're still bringing all the tasks to the client. Right now, I think we're kind of querying, by each column in a sense. I forgot how we actually set it up. Let's take a look. Filter task. Okay, we still actually are filtering on the front end. And I think that's probably going to be the easiest way to do it in my brain, which is we're still going to query like just a long list of tasks, right? Let's say this person has 40 tasks. And then we can just filter on the Kanban page and then distribute from the Kanban page down to the columns, right? At least, and the reason why I'm thinking that structure is because we'll easily be able to like drag and drop, and it would just be like a show hide, basically like an illusion that you're dragging to the next column. The data would all exist in each column, but it would just be showing in the thing that, and I guess that's still technically how it's doing it anyways, but it's just doing it from the column, and I just don't know how I would do it from the components. Well, maybe there's a way. I haven't thought about it yet. But we do need to make the divs draggable. That's one thing. We do have a few to-dos here. Let me pull up MongoDB in the compass. And I'm going to delete some of these tasks, or maybe that's one thing we can build today is a endpoint to delete task. Okay, let's see. Const update task. We'll say const delete. It already knows. We don't want the params though of it, or actually maybe we do. Find the index, and it's fine. We can also have this validation check, make sure the task exists. And then if it exists, just delete it, I guess. So task index, how do we do that out of MongoDB? I forget. Task.find, I believe it's going to be similar command to this. We just need to I think delete one, and it might be task ID or task index. Might be how we do that. Okay. Let's give it a go. Let's try. So task index by the params. So here's a task with a task ID or a whole bunch of task IDs. Hopefully those IDs actually, because we do have the problem we might be running into now is we're going to have a few tasks that overlap with the ID, because I know we didn't check the IDs differently. Oh, that was gnarly. This freaking little bug just jumped up. Hold on. I gotta deal with this. Hold on. Jeez. That was random and a little bit gross. This place, I love it. It's a beautiful, beautiful place, but there's critters. Like I will tell you guys, there are critters, and I've seen like literally my very first day moving in here. I saw this just gnarly tarantula carcass outside on the patio. And then that same night, I was just sitting outside on the patio and just soaking in, kind of like, okay, I just moved here. I'm enjoying the view. And then on the top of the balcony, there was like this little tarantula that, well, he wasn't little, he was a big boy. And he crawls under the balcony, and it freaked me out. I like look up and just like, oh, freaked me out. So I've seen that. I've seen some big like what are the guys with the 100 little legs or whatever? I'm seeing a few of those outside, and I mean like bigger ones, right? Like not like a little guy. I mean like the thing you're like, oh, geez, Louise. So yeah, there's some critters. And another day, I was sitting on my couch. For anyone who's roughly seen the vlogs, has maybe seen how it's set up, or the vlog rather that I have out. And I was sitting on the couch after cleaning, and I'm sitting there, and that back patio door, it's like out to this like grassy hill area. So it's grass, and then there's like gates, and then it drops down, and then it's like a giant valley behind it. And I was sitting there just hanging out, and the door was just like slightly cracked open, and I saw this weird object just like out of the corner of my eye, just like briefly in my peripheral vision. And I did a double take, like, what was that? Did I just see something like fly by weird, or did I see someone like walk by, or like the top of their head or something? Like, I went to go check it out. I opened the door more, and there's this like giant snake, like up on the like the door handle, kind of like was trying to kind of crawl up, and then he like got down and freaked out and slithered off, and I freaked out. I was like, oh, like. It was just it was like, okay, this is you know what I mean, this is a interesting thing. So but anyway, so we have our MongoDB. Back to what's at hand here. We have our MongoDB, and let's refresh it. Let's see if we're up to date with all of our tasks. I feel like we're not. I feel like there's more task here. But yeah, just wild, like so many critters, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's been different stuff. And the other day, my girlfriend was over, and we saw this spider like in the bathroom too. This like little like wolf spider looking guy. It didn't really freak me out though after seeing the tarantulas, to be honest, like the big boys. I was like, yeah, a little wolf spider, whatever, not a big deal. It was just like uncomfortable, but yeah, so there's been a few critters, and just don't know what to expect, seen it all. So yeah, and then another time too, the apartment actually flooded too. So this place has just been like really adventurous, really fun, really interesting. Like a pipe broke upstairs in the apartment. So if there's like a square here, like on this apartment, the apartment caddy corner, top left to me, there's like a water heater closet between, like, it's like, here's me, here's like the apartment and water heater closet kind of north of me, or like above to the left, and between them and us, and it, like, I don't know, a pipe exploded, and it was just downpouring water outside, and I like run to the front office, and I'm like, hey, you guys have a leak? And then I started to think, I'm like, wait a sec, like I'm downstream from that leak. That's not good. So I ran back to the apartment, and by the time I came back in here, literally these lights you guys are seeing, like all three of them. So this like lighting bar and these outlets up top, they were just like dripping with water down these lights and on the counter and all over the floor. Like by the time I got back, like there was like a 1/4 inch of water just across the floor. Just oh, it was a mess. And the maintenance team though, they're so good. They came by and they were mopping everything and just, being amazing. Brought a fan, turned off the water, and but yeah, like immediately we grabbed all my stuff, like the rugs, the shoes on the floor, like anything that was on the counter, because the counter was just soaked, because these lights were all dripping water, both this light and this light. So it was so just, oh man. And to boot, that was the day I got let go at Babson, and to boot. So it was a really, really, really interesting day for me. But I saw it as nothing other than, to be honest, like a God intended thing, because because out of all days that could have happened, like I had been at Babson, you know what I mean, consistently for 6 months at that point. And it was like, out of all days for that to happen, it was the one day, because it happened probably at like 11 a.m. It was the one day where I was let go at like 9:30 in the morning. So I show up to work, you know, and then get called in for a little meeting, and they're like, hey, there's just some business shifting stuff that happened. And there was, and I don't want to get into it with disclosing their business, but there was an event where basically they had to consider or slow down temporarily accepting investment money. It was a capital A collection startup, so you know, I don't want to explicitly say, but well, that sounds like they're fly by the ship great people. It was just an event where there was some rules around the product, and they're fly by the ship people, so they're not going to accept investment money. They're great people. They're not going to put themselves in a weird situation if there's some weirdness around the rules and whatnot of a product. So in turn, they had to slim down some of the teams and the marketing departments and the HR and then finally a engineering cut too. So that was unfortunate, but part of the game, you know what I mean? Part of the game, not the end of the world. I mean, it was just like, I couldn't believe that it was on that day. So I was very, very grateful out of all days. And in a weird way, I was like calmly grateful, like, okay, thank God. Thank God, you know what I mean? It was the one day that I was let go, because if it was the day before or the day after, let's say I wasn't let go, you know, I would have came home at like 6 p.m. typically or something like that, right? And like, who knows what level of damage that would have done. Like all my computer stuff here, if the water crawled up even more, like, and that was my biggest concern, was just losing this stuff, you know, the whole setup, right? So we have handle delete, say task. What's my endpoint that we've been using? So we have Axios. Let me pop up this, but yeah, so some good stories out of here. You know what I mean? Some good stories. Really, I should put this URL into the M file, so if it ever changes, I could just literally change it across the board. I should hard code it into here. So again, maybe that'll be a little task or something. Task ID. I think that's all we need to do. And maybe get task again or something, but let's see. So handle task is used but is never declared. Task ID. Task number is not in common with this. Well, let's see. Let's see if it is. So if we say on click, and let's pass in, we'll arrow function into it. We'll pass in a task.task ID. It's not assignable to this. Why? Why is that not assignable? What about that? If I just do this, task number is not defined. So we'll say task ID, if it exists, pass it in, right? And we'll say pass this in as a number. Does that do us justice? If we say as number. Okay, what if we just get rid of this one? Because the task ID should exist in every case. It really should. Okay, so that got rid of that error. The on click. So we can't add click functions, it looks like, to stuff like this. Not sure Y. So we'll just wrap it. That seems to be on click here, which is not. Oh, you can't do that in React. It looks like our next. Is that what's going on? Type number has no. Okay, we'll deal with that one in a second. Type void is not assignable to mouse event handler element. All right. Well, this will just be an easy peasy chat GPT question. Can you fix this on click? It's my element. There is an error in my .tsx file. And maybe it's a rule we have in the linter that we don't want on clicks for buttons and stuff. But I think that's a silly rule because we're going to use stuff like that. So you could fix handle delete icon. What did they do? Or what did ChatGPT do? No, still an issue. So it's not a lint error. Type, intrinsic value, property. Okay, let's just double check. Nope. Okay. Basically, I was just quickly checking if that was going to be an error or not. Task ID. Type number has no properties in common with Axios request.config. I disagree. I think it does have properties in common. So I'm gonna do this and what's the other thing? I'm curious if we need to requery task after deleting, or if we could do a patch update. But I think the easier thing to do will just be to requery the task. Use effect, task store. Let me import the task store. Where do we do that? Oh, right here, this one, boom. And again, our store isn't truly a store. It was actually kind of a like quick, lightweight workaround, which I honestly enjoy better. The lightweight workaround was to, where's our stores? Was to use a React component. Let me get rid of these console logs. Turn them into console errors. We do allow those in our linter. But we wanted to, oh, and I guess I really shouldn't be calling now that I'm looking at it, shouldn't be having this function in here. It really should just be in here. Async delete task. Say task ID, that's pretty awesome there. Say boom. And maybe that's what we want, and we want to export it. I think that's what we want, because then we can just import that delete task function every time. I wonder if I should have a query task function in the task store as well, so we don't deal with this logic in the pages. We just deal with it in the store, or can deal with it in the store. We'll mess around in a sec, but let's get this in there and see if it's working. So stores, task store, boom, bada bing. Awesome. And we'll say delete task here. And we still are dealing with that issue. Module has no exported member. Oh. Should return delete task, right? Oh, you know what? Duh. I just access it with the task store. Okay, so that is all we need to do, is just access it with the task store. And let's see what is going on still, this on-click situation. On What is it in React? This is a silly thing, but thought it was on click, right? Let's just test it out for a second, see if it works. So we have 4 stripe, 1 error. Okay, cool. Let's review the error, see what happened. Uncaught Axios error promise. So I wonder if we added that in our router or something, or need to add it in our router on the back end. Still need to handle that base toast, but we're working. We're building a lot of stuff here. Let's see. Task delete 1. And if I remember correctly, I need to do something like this .exec to execute the command, I believe. And I may not need to send the task actually. Error. Interesting. Why are we getting an Axios error? Oh, there we go. We're back. Okay. So let's see what I clicked it. Okay, let's requery. Looks like we haven't added one. Like there's 5 now. I'm confused. Okay. Deleted it, and let's see. So we're having some issues here. Trying to delete a task. Here is my controller command. See what it says. So it's doing that. Request that. Params. It is just coming here and saying ID, task ID. That's what we delete. So let's pop that in. And again, we might delete more than one task, because if I remember correctly, when we hard coded these, some of the task IDs overlap. So we have, and where's our folder? Some of these guys, okay, we got 31, sounds about right. But some of these are all task one. But the ones I want to make sure that are not task 1 are going to be these. Yeah, post task from front end. Let's edit this. I forget what task number we're on. Oh, it doesn't look like I can edit this because we're going to lose some of these tasks, I think. Stripe integration payment page, toast component, CRUD operations for task. Those are kind of just simple tasks I want to maintain. But in spirit of getting the thing done, let's go to base, I think it's card or column, right? Base column. And we'll change this icon back after we configure it. But task ID, let's not do task ID anymore. Let's get task store.all. Am I not querying all task in the task store? I feel like I should be. Get task. No, it is task, right? Task.length +1. So hopefully we no longer have to deal with that issue of the ID issue. Let's just go ahead and test this out and check our database. So post task from front end, let's remake that one. Post task from front end. And we'll see if we can do that. So let's add task. Looks like it went good, I think. Number 32. Nice. See what it is. Add Post task from front end. We see it. Stripe integration. Oh, you know why? We never linked up the front end to the back end here. And again, maybe why we want to use TRPC, because if we had done TRPC, we would see that. How can I do this? Task data. But if we use TRPC, that would be an error. Like it wouldn't let us do that. We could easily see the type error. So I would like to do an integrate TRPC. The only concern I had in what I read online was sometimes that things will update and when things update, like sometimes Next.js doesn't keep up to date with the task happening. Or excuse me, not the task, but with the update. And if there's a time where Next.js updates or TRPC updates and they're just like off and it breaks the entire application, that's a bit of a problem for me. But outside of that, it was kind of fun to start messing around with yesterday. It is different. It is something I'll have to learn and get a lot smarter in. But not intimidated by. Okay, you know what? Let's just go ahead and delete a task. See if it works. Looks like it didn't work. And we'll just recreate these tasks of whatever we need to do, hopefully, right? Bad request, 404. I wonder if I am passing that parameter. It's console log. Console log a param here. See what we get if we press delete. Let's let the port connect. No, we are getting a weird deal. Okay, so ellipsis icon. Just comment that out for right now. Go to the task store. Click. Okay, let's see if that's at least is getting a click, right? Sometimes that could be part of our issue. It's just some generic thing. Let me not arrow function into it. I think we can just straight put the function. Oh, did not want to delete that one, but oh, and we are just fetching. It's like way too many times, so we need to look into that. Oh, you know why? It's because I'm querying however many 30 tasks that are all fetching each task every time. So we definitely don't want that use effect in here. That makes sense. That would be a problem. Oh, and that's not the issue either. Why are we doing that? Why are we querying like crazy? That's not good. That is not good, folks. So hold on. Let's kill these servers and let's think. Let's analyze. So the base card querying for all the tests, that made sense to me because it's like you're rendering 40 cards and each one of the 40 cards is also rendering one of the task store queries. So that makes sense, but now that it's not there, I don't know why it was still querying. The base column, I guess at most it would query 3 times. So maybe we do take it out of the column and just put it back in the Kanban page where it queries only once on load and then distributes down to the columns. But I guess it really shouldn't even be on the column page now that we are slowing it down and thinking. It really should only be on the Kanban page where let's import both of these things. So import both, delete that one. Task store from task store. And I think ultimately we're probably going to go with the approach of what I was alluring to earlier with how the drag and dropping is going to work. I think that's going to be the way to do it, and it makes sense because if we're on the client and we've already fetched everything and it's already delivered on the client, right? There's no need to do all this other stuff. And unless there's a way I can think about it and learn more about server components, but it seems like that would be the easiest thing. If you already query and have all the tasks, you could just kind of, and I guess the time it wouldn't make sense is if you have like 800 tasks or something, but outside of that, I think that would make sense. And do I still need to, not the base card, but the base column? So all the tasks are queried from the task store still. And I just need to pass them in, right? So task type, and we'll say, oh, so it does still work because technically we are getting these things passed in, but let's not do that here. Again, I do want to do it up here for a reason. As task type, let's import our task type. And let's get that path right. Okay, so that looks about appropriate, and we'll redistribute it. The reason is this is going to be basically a copy of all that data. So then when that data is delivered on the client, it's just there. We already have it. So boom, Kanban. Let's see, boom, and it all loads at once now because it's being distributed at the same exact time from the parent. And I would even say const copy of task is probably what we want to do, just in case we want to do something with the data at any point, or if we ever want to manipulate the data, delete stuff and whatnot, we could still do it. We could still do CRUD operations. But basically we want pure data, and then everything following is going to be a copy of it. And I think what's the all task.filter? Not sure why we're having a issue there. All task.filter, all task. Oh, I see, task status. Maybe we no longer can do that. All task.filter. So it needs to wait for the task to exist. All task.filter is not a function. Should be. Okay, maybe we can't do copy like that. We could do object.assign or stringify, I believe. We say this and boom, all task. Let's see if that works. Still not a thing. Okay. And why? But and maybe we don't need to do that because there's no use case for it right now, but the idea is I don't want to manipulate. It's like you kind of want two versions of data sometimes, where you have your original version of data, where it's like clean, unfiltered, untouched, and then you have the data that's like your client's interacting with. But obviously we weren't making that happen. We weren't figuring that out. So let's figure out why we're getting 15,000 requests in settle.js. I don't know why. Task store.task. If we go to the task store, we should only, oh, you know why? I think this place needs a use effect for getting task. For this, I think we need something like that where we're not just rendering over and over and over all these tasks. It's just a one-time job whenever it's queried, I believe. Let's see. Where's it coming from? Settle task. And when did this start doing this is what I want to know. What did we break? Task store, and we need to look. So there's only two places that do it. Let's see. It's probably not going to be there. So it looks like it's neither of those places. I am unsure of the bug, to be honest. But that's a big one that we do need to figure out because it's just querying like crazy. Weird. Copy of task. Let's not do that then. Let's break this. Let's just say it's this with a object of task ID in it. Task name. Task priority. What else do we need? Task status, and that'll be this with a to do timestamp 1, 2, 3. I'm just seeing if and what else do we need? These things are not required. Okay, so let's see if we are. So it's not going to be up here. Get store, use task. Oh, you know what? Maybe that was it. Because that would make sense. If the dependency was on the task store, that makes sense. So the dependency would wait for the task store to change, and on every change it would refetch. So it was just calling itself. It would say, I'll change when this changes, and then if you change this once, it says, okay, I'm changing. And then this changes, and then this changes, and then this. So that makes sense. Okay. But why is there an issue now with the dependency array? Either include it or remove its dependency array. How can I do this? Let's see. That makes sense on why it was doing that. Okay, we figured out the bug. I see. So it's saying const fetch task. So make it a function, and then boom. Nope, we still get a dependency array issue. Is that a rule that we set up? I don't think it is. Let's delete all of those rules just to see if it's one of ours. And it doesn't look like it is. That might be a Microsoft linter error. So I do think it's something to do with our linter. We are going to need to ignore that one. That is no quick fixes. Can you ignore this ESLint error? I forget the comments. Okay, that's what it is. Sweet. And boom. No? Okay. We definitely don't want to see that right when we're pushing, and other errors we do want to see, stuff like this. It's good to know. And let's get our task back to all task equals task store.task as task type. Tasks, all of them. That's what we need. We need all of our tasks. Okay. So looks like we're still getting some sort of ESLint error on this page. Unsure to why. So with here, all we wanted to do was just delete some tasks, folks. Okay. So Axios error, 404. What are these errors? I am curious. On click, it must be this guy. I bet it's this guy. So let's delete that. Yep, looks like he was one of them outside of the clerk. Oh, key prop. Each child should have a key prop. And that'll be, looks like in our base card, wherever we're looping over something. Test map. Here. Okay. So test status, and we can say key equals index, and this was actually something we don't need quite yet. But this is an error. And I don't understand why. I really don't, folks. So if I console log hello, right, the error goes away. So test store delete number. Is that it? Alrighty, well, I'll be damned. Well, I will be damned. Let's see, refresh. We should have no errors. Perfect. Building quality software. We've got our linter in place. We've got some type checks, making sure we're having good data. And the only error now is just a functional one. That's awesome. Okay, and we will deal with that linter error in a moment. Not a big deal for us right now. Okay, so let me see this. This delete task. Is dot delete something we need to do? Task controller. You know what? I already know it is. And that's, we definitely need the task ID and the params. Let's see. And yep, that's exactly what ChatGPT said. That's what ChatGPT said. Pop that in there. But we are already prefixing this router with this. So we just need the task ID, and we were importing the task controller. So let's see if this works now. We completely forgot to add that. Simple error, simple thing to forget. Okay, and let's try. Delete, uncaught. Let's paste this in. Task ID. Let's try one more time. Because then we can kind of clean up our task. We can add task, and we do need to get that going properly. Let's wait for the port to connect. Dun, dun, dun. There it goes. Okay, so refresh the front end. And there's an error. Why is there an error? I really didn't think it was a big deal. I think it was task. Find and delete. Find and delete. And then we do that dot exec. Task ID. Let me just try this. If not, I will pull out the old project. You know, there's an old project I have with all these commands on it. In fact, we can go ahead and consider that now. Let me just pop up in test 2. Let's see our controller. Sync handler. Okay. Post find, get post, delete post. Boom. Post dot find by ID and delete. That was it. That's an easy thing. Okay, so find by ID and delete. And we just need to pop in task ID, looks like. And that looks kind of like it. Looks like we don't need to be doing all this other stuff, so we can just do try catch on that. And well, yeah, let's just try to get that done first. Rec.params, we can delete that. Awesome. I'm gonna try to refresh. We'll wait for the server to pop open. And we might be losing a few tasks here, folks. So let's delete. In promise. Okay. Let's get all of this stuff commented out real quick. Task ID. Debugging, right? It's a good old time. It's a good old time. Uncaught Axios error failed with a 404. Alrighty. Rec.params. Task ID. Let's try that. Let's see that. Oh boy. Well, I guess actually we maybe don't need to destructure it there. Let's get our terminal back up and running, see all these tasks, and delete. No. Okay. Maybe TRPC would be easier, you know? Maybe it would be. Alrighty. Let's see. Delete. Uncaught Axios error. 404. Let's just console log even, see if we're getting the right params. Task ID. Let's go to the card. Are we passing in task ID? We'll go to the task store. Make sure we're getting a task ID. That makes sense. Oh, you know what? There we go. That would be a problem. That would be a problem right there. Simple error, but it would be a problem. Would be a problem. So Let's try this one more time. Delete. Looks like we didn't get anything we wanted on the console. Let's log task ID. Redeploy the front end, and the back end should be up to date. Let's see if we're getting the right right thing to the server here. So I'm not seeing any sort of indication that we're even saying the right task to the back end from even the front end, actually. So that's a problem. Let's maybe not arrow function into this. Let's see if we can just, you know what? And I'll make this a function just for here. Function handle delete task. Say task, and we'll say task ID actually. ID number and task store. So what I'm doing here is just trying to do this function, just get it out of the template. That's kind of a Vue habit I have. Obviously, having enterprise experience in Vue. But I do vaguely remember that React does not like having this stuff in templates, and this is for performance in React as well, is to pass in task.task ID as number. Let's see if that gets rid of the error, and as well the on click, we want to arrow function into this. Maybe that gets rid of everything. It does. And task ID is not being used. Should be. Instead, we don't want to do that. We want to do that. Let's just console log here. Make sure we're receiving the task ID from component. So this is step one on the front end. Is it's going to the component, and then we're going to send it off to the store. So we'll say from store. And I guess technically, you know, maybe we don't need to be this redundant. Maybe we could just import this endpoint directly into the file, but I'd rather have a store that handles everything. And we just import that or export that out of the store. So the store is kind of the one-stop shop in my brain. That kind of makes sense. So boom, maybe we could delete these priorities from component from store. Uh-oh, and I see nothing happening in errors. So I have a feeling we just deleted a whole bunch of tasks, folks. Oh, nope. Dang it. Okay. So that's good. We are getting it. It sounds like from, and we did get it to the backend too, where it says console log request that params, all that stuff. So let's try this again. A few different things over here now that we know we're sending it off to the endpoints. Let's see. Let's try delete one. Boom. Wait for the server to get back up and running. That's awesome. So it's good to know that we're now integrating well with the backend. Stripe. Boom. Oh, looks like we might have done the deal, folks. We might have done the deal. Let's refresh our database. And looks like we lost a task, which is awesome. But I really thought it would lose a whole bunch more because I thought these were all connected. So 30. Okay, it's working. Great. And we do need to requery every time that the tasks get deleted. So now we're down to 28 task. But I guess I'm not seeing these tasks disappear from the front end, right? Which doesn't make sense. So it's getting out of the back end. Stripe integration with payment page, task ID. Maybe we lost our task. Maybe it's deleting it out of here, which would not be very fun to see. What's our task 1, 2, 3 stuff? Let's maybe just hand delete a few and see if we can post some new ones. So get rid of that one, get rid of this one, get rid of this one, get rid of that. Stripe integration payment page is something we do need to do. We don't need it to be payment ID number 1. And these 1, 2, 3s, let's get rid of some of those. Don't want all of those there. Kind of annoying to see. And they're just dirty data, you know what I mean? So let's get rid of that. Boom, post task from front end. Anything that says 1, 2, 3, that's not the task priorities we're allowing. Same with all the subscriber statuses and things like that. We don't want those if it's not good data. So toast components, stuff like that. Okay, let's see. Let's see. We do want to post a task. Let's get back to that. Post a new task. So this is new task. Post. Oh, needed to update the front end, of course. And we'll try that one more time to see if this worked. Task stored at task.length. Looks like we need to query the task.length. So let's try this one more time. Test this. Is that working? Successful post. Oh, and similar issue on the back end. We forgot that these. We need to get that integrated quickly because that is a little bit annoying. And again, maybe the solution isn't getting the task integrated quickly, but actually going for TRPC. Might actually be the solution here, or just getting it all figured out and building the front end modal. But I don't like that disconnect from the front end to back end, and I think TRPC is the solution for that. Just that we have to migrate a lot of the project over to TRPC. Okay, let's see what that does. If I just clicked a whole bunch of them, nice. It got rid of a whole bunch of them. Nice. Okay, that's perfect. Let's get rid of one more. And every time we delete, that's awesome. We will requery for the task store. Oh, not the task types. We want the store. So if we delete a task, if let's say const, well, I guess we could say .then res const success. If success, get task again, else console.error. Maybe we could do a try catch actually. So we can get rid of that and we'll say try catch. Let's do that. Try this and console.error. Oh, didn't put it in the right spot, I realize. Okay. So basically it's going to try to delete a task, and then if it successfully deletes a task, it should refetch. I did just press delete though, and I didn't see it do it. So let's figure this out. Because when we add a task, it should also refetch every time we add a new task. Let's go ahead and add a few. New task, new task. Not sure why it's not successful post. We have an error. We do need to turn that to a toast, but let's delete from component. Okay. Base card or base column. And every time add task, base button happens, right? Handle add task. And I thought we were, if it was successful, fetch task, right? And if it wasn't, it would stop. So let's see this one more time. It's not getting task. So why is that? What changed there that would do that on the front end, right? Because it does do it. It still triggers the back end, but on the front end, it's not doing this. So is it just an await thing that we just need to slow it down? Oh, you know what? You know what I bet it is because we are redistributing everything from the Kanban page. So it kind of needs to exist up here, I bet. So maybe I need to adjust the all task copy. It somehow needs to check if this changes. So I don't know, maybe we, how would we do it though from the component if, I don't know, this is going to be a tricky thought on how to kind of get this Kanban. I think maybe I'm overthinking it, but it just seems that this could be a lot easier to handle. Task store, task type. Let's maybe go back to the original plan, which was to have these kind of smart base columns. We'll get that task type out of our type. Use effect. Let's import that from React. Okay, so this should get back to us posting a new task and it queries. Yep. And if we delete a task, it should also query if it existed on this scope, but it doesn't. Deleting a task exists on the card scope. So then I think here we need to task store get task. There's going to be a way that I need to maybe think about this and so we'll async and await for, what happened there? But I don't want to have all these different levels of like, oh, check data. What I really need to set the project up like is the store handles all the data. So anything that integrates with the store queries, it re-updates the task. It does everything we need to do within the store. Because I don't want to have to handle, obviously refreshing every time. It's not a good user experience. But it does work, which is awesome. We do have that. But every time I click, it should delete in real time, right? So I think maybe how I do it is maybe build the task copy up here and then export the task copy. And that's the data I can kind of cache on the front end and mess around with and play with. That's one idea I'm having. The other idea I'm having is to figure out the Axios, just the easiest way to do this, where I'm unsure to why refetching task is not working. You know, if I'm saying in this component, if I want to get task again, shouldn't it get more task? So I could do that. I could also pass a function then if we want to kind of have this be our controller for this on the front end. If we want this file to be our controller, it just seems like that's not the way to do it. Even all of this handle add task should be in the store as well. So let's pop that in there. Post task, right? Post task, and like all of this really should be up here. We can handle all the success and stuff in a sec. But we don't want to handle it in the pages and everything. Like really, realistically, it's just bad juju. We just don't want to do that, you know? We just don't want to do that. So let's do task store, and this will be post task. I think that'll work here. It's gonna mess with our, well, hopefully it's not just posting 100 tasks, right? But it's gonna mess with our reactivity for a sec. So let me just delete a whole bunch, then refresh it. Delete. Weird. Okay, so our delete's not working anymore, I don't think. Base card, handle delete task. Let's not do that. Let's just go back to what we were doing with the delete task. Delete. Let's see. Refresh. Okay, good. It's still working. I thought for a second we had broke the functionality of it, but we're still working. So we can delete, which is great, but we want to update the list every time we delete. That's what needs to happen, and the backend or the store needs to handle that. One of the two. So I don't know. Maybe we'll wrap it up here. I think today was, again, just more polishing. Between last night's session, we integrated the linters and a few other things. Let's see. And we do want to hard push this code, I think. So I'm not going to do our command. The reason why I'm going to hard push it is because we have some stuff in here where certainly code quality is like not allowed, right? With the linter right here. Like that's one thing that I don't think is allowed with the linter. But we do want we do want to update the repo, because I don't want that infinite loop anywhere near my production. It's not a good thing to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and push this to the front end repo. Hopefully it builds, which I think it will. And yeah, so great work overall though. But we do have that linter, and that was just kind of a one-time thing. Every time we push the repo, it should be quality code. So let's look at this. Your branch is up to date with origin main changes, not staged for deleted utils / functions. We changed it to a .ts file. cd utils. Actually, let's just cd out. So git add. Those were the changes of yesterday, where we didn't stash these utils changes, which was just updating the contract and changing this to a TypeScript file. And there was something else we did at the tail end of the day where, I forget, or maybe it was early on, but we had a linting issue, here, where JavaScript and JSX files were allowed, and it was throwing errors everywhere, but we just wanted to use TypeScript files. We shouldn't have JavaScript files anywhere in this entire project. So we had to change the helpers to a TypeScript file, as it should all be in TypeScript. But overall, great work. I think that's probably a good area to round it off, is just polishing this up a little bit more. We got another function in there, the CRUD function. And we are down, of course, on the front end and the back end. But we got another CRUD operation, which is awesome for the task area. And yeah, I vaguely forget what else we did today, but shared some stories and yeah, so I'll hopefully cut up the episodes from last night. But like I said, it's going to be 6 pieces of things that I got to line up independently and then combine together to make the episode. and then obviously this one too. So not overly concerned. It just takes a long time to export files and movies on my MacBook because it's getting a little bit older, not horribly older, just 4 years old. But I guess in tech that's pretty old. So I don't know. We'll see. And that's why I didn't want to do it, because if I'm pushing this video and that's 3 videos, that's going to be like 6 hours of just my computer just loading, which like I can't do today. I could do one video where I export the audio, line it all up, and then export it, and it'll take about 2 hours or an hour and a half or so. But yeah, to do 6 hours today, like I have to work on this other project. I can't afford a 6-hour day of just letting my computer push videos. So maybe tonight I'll do it right before I go to sleep. I'll have it export a video and then do it in the morning again, so it kind of chunks out the 2 videos. Would be one workaround. I love that I just approached that with a programmatic workaround. Like, oh, that's one way to do it, I guess. But yeah, altogether, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, stuff in the description, all the software engineering program donations. If you want to like, comment, subscribe, I can be a cheap date as well. I really appreciate it. So thank you guys so much. I hope there's something you guys learned. I'm still learning, of course, and hopefully forever will be, because this space is exciting. So yeah, but task tracker coming in. We need to fix this gap issue. I think getting add tasks to the front end would be a good thing we could do as well, the modal and everything, so we could just kind of actually keep track up to date. Maybe that'll be next episode's kind of thing, is just dealing with the reactivity from the store and building out the add task modal. So, but thank you guys so much. Cheers.